I recently got back from 2 weeks in Italy, where my wife and I enjoyed drinking many delicious bottles of wine, but no whiskey. So I am really ready to enjoy this dram of scotch. Let's do this. Welcome to Whisky Riffs. If you're new here, I'm Kevin, and today I have a Speyside Highland single malt scotch from Cardhu. This is actually a distillery exclusive bottling that I picked up at the distillery in Cardhu. And, well, let me pour it and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. This bottling is at 48% ABV. It's a non-age statement whiskey, and it has most likely some color added to it. It's a Diageo whiskey. Because it's at 48% ABV, there shouldn't be chill filtering, and those are all assumptions because I don't really have access to any of that information. If you know more about it, please let me know in the comments below. I did pay $154 for this when I was at the distillery. I paid something in pounds, and of course it converted over to dollars on my credit card. And I think that's the only spot you can actually get it. I don't think you can order it online. I've seen it at some auctions. I'll let you know at the end of this video whether it's worth going after it at one of those most extreme ways of getting a bottle of whiskey. This is aged in 3 types of casks, including a Californian red wine cask. As I mentioned, Cardhu is owned by Diageo, and Diageo on their Malt.com website advertises Cardhu as the Speyside home of Johnnie Walker. This particular expression is used, I believe, in their Johnnie Walker Black. My last video was for Cledniche, which is also a Diageo whiskey, and it's also used in Johnnie Walker expressions, that one in the gold. Now, this is a batch 1 release, so it has a limited number of bottles. I believe there is only 2,502 bottles in this particular bottling. And I read online that it's a 2018 bottling. I didn't see anything about that on the bottle. But during our Speyside distillery trip, I did spill a little whiskey, so maybe I'm looking at the spill here. Now, on our Speyside distillery trip last year, we did stop at Cardhu, and it was a cool distillery. They set it up for visitors. They had a presentation. They also gave us a little tour of the visitor area. We didn't get a tour of the distillery itself. We were really thrilled to get the tastings that we got. There was actually 4 drams in our tasting: the Cardhu 12, this bottle, the distillery exclusive, Johnnie Walker Black, and then a pour your own and whiskey expression, which came from one of the casks that you could actually go ahead and make your own bottle up and take it home with you. I decided on this bottle to take home because distillery exclusives aren't always available back home where I am in San Francisco, and it was a good choice because I really couldn't find it anywhere else to pick it up. If you're interested in the distillery tour video, I did put a link to that in the description below, and it may be fun to take a look at. But on to the Cardhu Distillery Edition. Now, I like that it's at 48% ABV. I like that I have a chance to maybe get one of the more potent expressions of Cardhu. And I do like the nose on it. It has a sweetness to it. There's a little bit of spiciness. I'm getting citrus, like an orange citrus. Brightness to it. There's not flowery notes for me. It's fruity notes. There's a little bit of that oak spice. Just pleasant. It's welcoming. And maybe because I haven't had more than 1 dram of whiskey, I had a little bit of whiskey last night to reintroduce myself to it before I start recording videos again. But I really have been almost 3 weeks without whiskey, and that's crazy for me. Maybe it'll help my palate, maybe it'll help my tasting notes, or maybe I won't know what the hell I'm talking about in this video. So let's dive in and see. Okay, maltiness, a little bit of caramel, molasses. That's the sweetness I get. I'm getting a lot of finish and a lot of wood spice. And a little bit of cinnamon on the finish too. It's laying on my tongue. That brought some pretty nice heat. Well, 48%. Wines aren't at 48%, are they? They're less than that. I'd love to know your tasting notes if you've had this particular whiskey. Let me know in the comments, because I'm not sure how many people have actually got a chance to try the Distillery Edition. After first tasting, I'm getting some really nice wood notes on the nose, even some banana notes, and a slight bit of coconut. And still that citrus is really strong. So there's a bit of a thickness to this, which is kind of nice. Coating my tongue, coating my mouth. And I wasn't expecting that. I don't remember that from the tasting. Certainly a great whiskey if you don't want to get too fruity with your whiskey. I want to throw some water in this to see if that changes the flavor notes. I think at 48%, we certainly have room to play around with a little bit of water. For me, that water kind of added some more leather notes to the nose and toned down the citrus notes. Didn't tone down the heat though. I'm thinking that maybe I need to add a little bit more water. I just put a few drops in. It's always better to go slowly with adding water, especially if you're trying to do tastings like this. For me, the water is taking away the little bit of sweetness that was there and bringing up that oak spice and that heat, and it's not doing much for me as far as the flavor profile. I do still get that really oily thickness, and it's just coating my tongue, which I think is pretty cool. Maybe it's just because I haven't had a lot of whiskey lately, but I'm really enjoying that. I'm really enjoying the savoriness of this and how it expresses itself without sweetness, or at least sweetness that isn't fruity for me. It's more of that molasses sweetness, and I think it's hitting some nice notes, and I'm so glad I got to open the bottle. I've been sitting here unopened since our trip last year, which, shoot, what was that? Was that October, November? I can't even remember, but it's a long time to have a bottle unopened for me, and I'd love to know your notes. Have you had any of the Cardhus, and what is your favorite expression? Let me know in the comments below. And certainly if you have any access to this whiskey, I'd like to know where you're getting it too. That's something I couldn't find outside of the distillery. I don't think this is one of those expressions that I would rush out to find. If you're at the distillery, I think it's a great idea to pick a bottle up because, you know, you just don't get access to these kind of things all the time, so grab it when you can get it. So I guess that's my recommendation. If you're at the distillery, if you're at Cardhu, enjoy yourself for one thing, and maybe look at either doing the pour your own version of their whiskey or this particular expression if they still have some bottles around. And as for me, I'm thrilled to be back on camera after my lovely trip to Italy. If you want to hear more about that, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll drop a few notes about what my wife and I experienced and why we went to Italy. There's some reasons behind it. So until the next video, take care of yourself. Take care of those people around you, and cheers. Noise in the background, people in the hallway, people in the stairway, being very loud. So I'm going to just wait till they're done, making a lot of noise behind me in the stairway. They're a little loud. Getting quieter. Not quite enough yet. We done?